Welcome to This is Getting Old. I'm your host, Melissa Batchelor, and today I'm joined by my mom, Nettie Batchelor. So, hello, Mama, how are you?
Hi, Melissa. I'm fine.
So, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about our family's experience with Grandma being in the nursing home, because as you know, this has been a big problem. And so, just wanted to talk to you about that, and we can start with, what happened last week, or we can just talk about the last 6 months.
Well, I think I'd like to kind of back it up to the when she went into the nursing facility. It was hard for her to leave home and even have to accept the fact that she needed 24/7 care and that she had to be in the facility. But the girls at the facility are so nice and so good to her, and she did so well. She began to even think of it as home, and she was doing really good. I would go see her 2 or 3 times a week. My brother and his family would visit in. My children would go visit. We'd take her out places and take her back, and everything was going great. Then March the 4th was the last time I have seen her to touch her and hug her and kiss her or any of our family. It's been 7 months almost. I've got a list over there of stuff I'm going to go get for you today. I said, I've got a list of things I'm going to get for you. We're trying to cope with that. We do FaceTime, and we're able to talk and just, visit with each other that way. That has been going pretty good, but the time's getting longer and longer, and I keep saying it's going to be over soon, and it just doesn't seem to be over soon.
Her girl.
Olivia.
Yeah,
Olivia.
Olivia.
Yeah.
Hey, Sue.
They have now, the governor of North Carolina has moved us to phase 2.5, and they're allowing outdoor visitation. My mom is 91 years old. The elements are a problem. If it's raining or chilly, it's not a good place for her to be. The meeting on Wednesday did not go well. She completely lost it. She was crying. She wanted to come home. It was the hardest thing she'd ever had to done. She wanted to hug my brother, and she kept telling the girls, she said, "That's my son. That's my son." And they had to ask my brother and his wife to leave because she got so upset. Of course, they called me, and I go and I call the facility, and they're all upset. They're all concerned too. They love my mother, and I know that. So I said, "How do you think it would be if I come and I visit with her and just go to her and ask her if she wants me to come or if she wants me to wait?" They went and asked her, and she said she'd like to try it again because she's that kind of person. She doesn't want to be a problem to anybody. She tries to get along, and I think she felt bad too that my brother went home upset and crying. So she came out and visited with me, and I threw her virtual hugs. I threw my hands up in the air and said, "Mama, then put your arms up and give me a hug and throw me kisses." And we did that, and we talked, and it went much better than it did with my brother. But it still is hard to sit that close to her and not be able to hug her and her not be able to hug me. It's harder for her because she just really doesn't understand, and she's the one that's in isolation. So we're going to try it again this week. I've got the girls at the nursing home. They're going to FaceTime with me this afternoon, and I will talk to her and see how she feels about me coming back on Wednesday, and we'll try it again.
So I know that once you mentioned that the governor did do the phase 2.5 or whatever, but it still took about 2 weeks.
Yeah, we live in the state of North Carolina, and about 3 weeks ago, our governor moved us to phase 2.5, whatever that is. I was expecting to go to
Halfway
3 and
between.
better.
Yeah.
But it meant to me, the biggest thing it meant to me was I could visit my mother outdoors. I realized I was going to have on a mask. I did not realize I couldn't touch her, hug her, kiss her, but I did realize I was going to have to wear a mask, and she was too. But I had all intentions of going and clipping her fingernails and rolling her hair and just, expending some good quality time with her like I have been doing in the past. It took 2.5 weeks for the facility to be allowed and to be able to set up this visitation. Had to be outdoors, no touching, wear the mask, sit 6 feet away from each other. And I understand that they are going by their corporate rules, and they were doing the best that they could. They were always very encouraging to me. They had to hire employees, and my biggest question to them was, you knew this was coming up. Why did it take corporate so long to allow you or to give you your guidelines on what could be done? Because when I heard the governor say we moved to phase 2.5, I got excited and I was ready to go see Mama that very next morning, and I couldn't. And 2.5 weeks later, I finally got to visit her.
Yeah. And I was just explaining to you, that whenever CMS releases something, that then corporate has to cull through it and figure things out, and then they can then provide guidance for the individual nursing homes. But even knowing that process, doesn't make it any easier. So I mean, and I know that she's in a good facility. I know that all the staff I've ever met that work in a skilled nursing home, they're not there for the money. They're there because they do love their residents. So I know that they're doing the best that they can, but there just has to be some better solutions.
Well, we've gotten this far. We are at least in the outdoor visitation now. I don't know if I'm going to try that with my mom again or not. It's up to her. If she wants to do it, we're going to do it, and I'm going to make it as happy for her as I can. My brother, on the other hand, was absolutely devastated because she begged him to take her home. And just so you know, she told me she didn't want to come to my house. You wanted to go home.
Yeah.
I
Which
wasn't
is by your
offended.
brother.
That's right. I understand that home is home. She wants to go back to her house.
Right.
So that was very hard on him because she knows he's her legal guardian. And so he's the one that she takes that to. So I don't know if he'll go back or not, but I'm going to try to, if she wants to do it, I'm going to try to encourage him to go back too. So
yeah,
we'll just move a day at the time. It may be that FaceTime is just the best thing for us to do right now until I can actually hug her. We also talked a little bit about maybe having some sort of inside visitation area set up. I don't know that would be any better for her so far as having to sit so far apart and wear the mask, but it would be better conditions with the weather. And I don't want her to come outside for a visit and it's raining and she could get sick that way. So, we're all just trying to cope with it right now, doing what we can, and hopefully before too much longer, we'll be able to visit and hug her and give her a kiss and help her get through it. She's 91 years old. She's to the end of her life. It just doesn't seem fair that she can't see her family when she needs us the most.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, it's the first time you've ever called me that I couldn't help you.
Well,
And I don't understand why we can test college students to make sure they stay on campus, and we can test the staff. I don't see why they can't test the families and let you guys go in. You know, there are people there that are having to help her and get within 6 feet to provide care.
Right. And that's what I say too. And I was talking with the representative from the facility this morning, and she was saying they were trying to figure out how to get people in there to get the votes from the residents. And I said, you mean you're going to allow people to go in there for the residents to vote, and you won't even let their families go in there and see them?
Oh,
Isn't that interesting?
I thought you meant like a resident vote to see if their families could come in.
Oh no, a vote for the upcoming election.
Yeah, so what did she say when you said that?
Well, they don't have it worked out yet. They don't know exactly what they're going to do, but it will be controlled by their corporate office.
Yeah.
So
the fact that they're even entertaining that, and they haven't figured out how to help families get in to see their family members in to see those residents,
was appalling.
Yeah.
Yes. But she did say that she thought they might have to try to set up some outside area to take them so that they could vote. I understand that voting, a lot of the people in that facility are of clear mind, and they keep up with the events and the events of the world, and who becomes our leaders is an important decision. So I am glad that they're allowing the residents to do that, because it is their legal right. But it also seems to me in that if like you said, the workers go and come, they live in different communities, they test them, they sign a waiver, and they're allowed in the building. Mama is in her room by herself most of the day. They have to keep the door shut. They're not allowed to visit any friends. They do play bingo, so she can sit in the doorway of her room and listen for the bingo game. She has her CNA who comes in and checks her and takes care of her. The nurse comes in 3 times a day with her medications. They keep her clean. They're doing all they can do, but they're just so isolated, and I just wonder if it's really what should be done. Should they be that isolated?
Yeah. Well, one thing, going back to that vote thing, I mean, this is what absentee ballot is. I mean, you bring them an envelope. Like, nobody needs to go in to, like, that's just insane to even think about. But but I do want to talk about the isolation. And so because we know now that for older adults that are socially isolated, it's like smoking a pack of cigarettes a day. I mean, that's how bad it is for their health. So tell me, like, what changes have you seen in her since March, when she's been in her room most of the time by herself? I know you told me that they had ordered physical therapy for her because she had declined so much.
Well, I think they allowed the physical therapist to go back in and work with the residents because they were so isolated, and their activities had been shut down. So through the Medicare, they allowed her to have an extra 2 months of physical therapy just to keep her moving, keep her body going, which I thought was absolutely great. The changes I've seen in her is some people quit eating, some people eat more. Mama has chosen to eat more. She's gained 10 pounds. So when you say a person's gained 10 pounds, I mean, she's gone from 120 to 130, but to think that she's gaining weight, you think she's doing fine. She's eating out of loneliness and unhappiness. And also, she's very pale, and she's not a person that really cries a lot or gets upset about her situation. She tries to make the best of it, but I see a change there too. I want to say she might be giving up, and I don't want her to do that. So I call her as often as I can and FaceTime with her, and I'm always very encouraging, telling her this will be over soon. But, think she's in depression yet, but I think she's headed that way.
I wish you could get a hold of you where I could just love you. Love you some more.
And as bad as I would feel about thinking I went in there and I got somebody sick, you know, these employees could get her sick and I would forgive them. So if a family member went in there to visit their parent and mama ended up with COVID-19, I would not blame that family member. You know, we just can, none of us always know who we're going to come in contact with and when we're going to get it or not get it.
Well, and if you're doing weekly testing for the staff and the staff, you know, they come to work and then they go home and they do whatever they would do.
Right.
So why can't they if there's a family member that's coming to visit, you know, that wants to come visit, you know, once a week, then they should be allowed to be tested also and be allowed to come into the building and interact with the resident, with their family member.
Yeah, and limit it to 1 or 2. You can put a limitation on it, but have 2 designated people that can just go in there and
as long as they're doing weekly tests, they can, you know, they can come in. But I mean, I'm being tested at GW once a week, and I know the next day, you know, what my test results are, and that clears me for the next week. You know, so I know that they're a higher risk group for having adverse illness, you know, if it does make it into the building. But at the same time, that's got to be balanced with what's important to the resident and what's important to their families. I mean, this is their home. And there's no other population that's being restricted in this way, not another single one.
I know. I think that's what makes it so hard. Well, I'll FaceTime with her this afternoon and see what kind of mood she's in and see if I can lighten her mood. And I always feel better after I FaceTime her. Yeah. You know, so we'll do that and hope this goes away soon.
Me too. And so I think that's why, you know, I wanted to do this podcast with you today, is because, you know, the longer that this takes, you know, the more bad outcomes we're going to see. And I know there's a lot of people that I've been talking to and working with, you know, that we're trying to just raise awareness and, you know, and to put a face to the names. You know, I had a colleague tell me yesterday that she asked ACLU if they would take up the calls for advocating for 1.3 million Americans who are in nursing homes that have basically been put in social isolation. And I'm telling you, if it was 1.3 million college students or 1.3, you know, able-bodied Americans, we'd have a big problem, and everyone would be advocating for them.
Yes.
So,
well, you know, we are to the point now where we can go to a restaurant, we can wear a mask, walk into a restaurant and sit down at a table with 4 people within 2 feet of each other. You can only, and then you have to, your group, your little social bubble, and then you have to be 6 feet away from the people at the next table. But I just think that if the nursing home would allow one advocate, one compassionate care person, just even one, and have that person go in as you would any employee and let them visit with their family member, that would be very helpful to them, whichever family member chooses to do it, or, you know, whichever family member is decided to do it. But at least one, because that one can tell them all about everybody else, you know, and what's going on and how everybody's doing, and just try to keep them up, you know. And even though the girls at the facility are very good to mama and they love her and they hug her, it's not like a family member. She's there in her mind alone. In her last years of her life, she's alone. And it's very hurtful. It's hurtful to me. It's hurtful to my brother and his family, hurtful to our family. hurts my husband. He's even cried.
Oh, well, if Granddaddy's crying,
You know,
it's bad.
it is. It's bad. So we just need to figure out a way.
Yeah,
Be able
and
to
I
visit.
think that they're
And I can't even bring her out and bring her home, because if I do, I can't take her back. You know, if I could bring her to my house. So maybe I understand that a little bit better. Right now, I'm just wishing that somehow the governor would realize that these people need at least one family member.
Yeah, and family
That
members aren't visitors. It's not like a random person's just coming off the street and going, "Hey, I want to come visit you." I mean, I don't know anybody that's ever been to a nursing home just to visit,
right.
and not every resident has a family member who can or is available to visit. But those that do, they should be allowed to have some type of visitation beyond having to sit 6 feet, apart.
By not allowing a family member to come into the facility, it has made it a lot harder on the employees of the facility too. I was doing my mother's laundry, taking care of her room, providing her snacks, setting everything up when I went in. And now I can bring it to the door and leave it. They have to come get it, and they take it down to her. They have to do her laundry. So it's made it a lot harder on all the employees too.
Right. And families, family members do support the staff. I mean, if you're there every day at lunch, that's one less person for them to have to worry about to get to. Have you seen have they said anything about being able to keep their employees, or having, are they working short? Do you know anything about that?
They have brought in what they call international workers, and they help with FaceTime. I'm not sure what else they do, but I do know that that's one thing they help them with, because mom has this young boy. I think he's like 16 years old, and he comes in and helps do the FaceTime. They're called international workers. Now, why can't I be an international worker?
You should be able to.
I don't.
mean, because that is something that some families have done. They've taken positions in, kitchens and dining rooms just to be able to then go visit.
I've been thinking about that. So
ask them.
I will. I think I will. I could go in there and brush everybody's hair, curl their hair, or do some little something, just so that I could see mama once in a while.
Well, you are a master bed maker. Even her nursing assistant told you that.
You're like, oh my God, we can't make a bed like that. I said, well, you just let me do it today and you do it tomorrow. It'll be all right. Or come on in here and I'll show you how to do it.
Exactly.
You asked me about changes in my mom. There's been changes in me too. My heart is heavy. I think about her day and night. I worry about her. And when I could go and visit her and do things for her, it made it easier. I had finally found my peace with her being there, because she had been accepting and doing better, and with all the visits from the family, she was doing well. Mama's 24/7 care. She can't walk. My brother and I are 70. I know I don't look it, but during this video. But it's a hard thing to take care of somebody 24/7, because she has to have her medicine. She has to, she's not completely incontinent, but there's some of that. It's just a lot. And we're older. So she was in a good place until now. And just getting harder and harder. I don't know what to do.
Yeah. Well, it's not like you and I are new to nursing homes. You worked as an, admissions coordinator for a year in nursing facility when I first started out, and my whole career's been in long-term care. So, but there definitely needs to be, answers and solutions for family members to be able to go in to visit.
And when you say there's nothing you could do to help me, there was nothing you could do to help me. Maybe this will be helpful. And that's why I've agreed to do it, because if it helps my mama or it helps any other resident in a nursing facility, that would be a good outcome.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you sharing your story, and I do know that people have heard us.
Okay. Well, we'll just keep praying, and we'll just keep hoping that things get better. And meanwhile, we'll just try to hang on. I tell my mom every time I talk to her, stay strong, stay brave, and we are going to see each other again. And when we do, we're going to party.
Exactly.
So, all right.
All right. Thank you, Mama.
You're welcome, darling. Talk to you later.
Thank you for joining me today for This Is Getting Old. If you'd like to know more, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if you have any questions or a related topic you'd like to hear from me about, just let me know. Thanks.